Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. This is an Answering Questions episode, so we'll actually get right to it, shall we? Brenda from Morris, New York. Why Tyrannosaurs are so rare we don't find fossilized eggs, complete skeletons, or trackways? Well, first of all, Tyrannosaurs tend to be... It depends on where you actually look at. If you're actually looking at the Hell Creek Formation, Tyrannosaurus rex is already kind of starting to become a little bit more common. But if you actually look at it in terms of the ecosystem of where each Tyrannosaur has been found, Tyrannosaurs are actually going to be about like 5 to 10% of the population. And so that's not very big. Because also, if you're that big, you're actually not going to be that heavily populated too. So you're actually a lot better actually being either smaller, because you can have a much higher population. But in terms of your question of why Tyrannosaurs are so rare, an analogy there to actually say that herbivores outnumber the carnivores. And also, carnivores tend to get killed a lot more when they're actually going to be hunting. And so, if you actually, because you're going to lose probably at least, like maybe at least 5 to 10 large carnivores in that ecosystem due to being either preyed upon or otherwise being killed while hunting. And in terms of fossilized eggs, there has been one Tyrannosaur types of eggs that have already been found, and those were probably from Tarbosaurus, found in Mongolia and China. And so those are actually probably the ones that are the only Tyrannosaur eggs that we actually have found. But in terms of all other Tyrannosaurs, we don't find a lot of their eggs. It's probably because they probably lay their eggs probably like in higher elevations, so probably they're not going to be fossilized very well. Because if you're in a high elevation, you're not going to the eggs are not going to be fossilized, and even the animal's not going to be fossilized. So probably T-Rex and some of the other Tyrannosaurs, except for Tarbosaurus, probably laid their eggs in higher elevation, like say probably like on a hill, or otherwise maybe like in a area where there's going to be a lot of trees and it's not going to be flooded that much there, and so that's probably where you would actually get there. And also trackways, the tracks get eroded really easily, and so there has been very few Tyrannosaurus rex trackways that have been found. There's some that have been found in the Hell Creek Formation in South Dakota and Montana. It's just that those get eroded really quickly. And also there's been a couple have been found in New Mexico of Tyrannosaurus rex, so it kind of actually is very difficult. British Columbia has actually got a really nice Tyrannosaur trackway. It actually shows 2 or 3 Tyrannosaurs walking in the same direction. And so that is probably a good indication of pack hunting right there. And so it might be like maybe like a juvenile, a subadult, and an adult hunting together. Trying to follow a herd of hadrosaurs in British Columbia. But probably for the other ways, it's very difficult to say. So it's going to be much harder to find these trackways, and those trackways get eroded so easily. And Tarbosaurus trackways have been found in Mongolia and China in the Gobi Desert, but they're very rare. It's because they get eroded so quickly. I mean, trackways get eroded really quickly. So based on complete skeletons, that's also a problem there as well. Is that sometimes scavengers actually take some of those bones and just eat them and take them to their territory and actually just eat what is remaining of meat left on, like say like some parts of the tail, some parts of the feet, and all that sorts of stuff. But also some of the smaller bones get washed away really quickly, and because see, you're not going to find a complete skeleton of a Tyrannosaur that much. But Gorgosaurus has been some of the most complete large Tyrannosaurs that we actually have found so far. That is actually kind of very neat to actually look at Gorgosaurus as a Tyrannosaur to actually kind of look at a little bit more. It's because they're more complete ones than there's a few complete ones with the incomplete ones. And so Albertosaurus is kind of actually not as complete as Gorgosaurus, and also Daspletosaurus as well. So far, D-Long and Eutyrannus are the only ones that have been pretty nearly complete. And also Sue is pretty much the most complete Tyrannosaurus rex ever found. So that pretty much answers your question there. And then Benjamin from Hong Kong are the claws of Torvosaurus bigger and stronger than Allosaurus? How could Acrocanthosaurus be more bulky than Tarbosaurus? Is the Coelurosaur that appeared in Sea Monsters Episode 1 Coelophysis or Lilian sternus. Well, your first question, are the claws of Torvosaurus bigger and stronger than Allosaurus? I don't think there has been claws of Torvosaurus yet found, because I believe the only things that have been found of Torvosaurus is parts of the skull, some vertebrae, some ribs, and I think a couple leg bones. I don't think the arms are fully complete, so we probably might even know how large the claws really are of Torvosaurus on the hands. So probably my best guess is that its claws are not larger than Allosaurus's, because Allosaurus has got much larger arms, it needs bigger claws, and so that probably is going to be the best answer for that one. And in terms of how could Acrocanthosaurus be more bulky than Tarbosaurus? Acrocanthosaurus is heavily built, but in terms of comparing it to the Tyrannosaurs, it's not as bulky compared to some of the Tyrannosaurs. Like if you compare Acrocanthosaurus to Tyrannosaurus Rex is actually going to outweigh and outdo Acrocanthosaurus due to muscular strength and actually how bulky it could be. And so, but with Tarbosaurus is not as strong as Tyrannosaurus Rex, but in terms of compared to Acrocanthosaurus, Acrocanthosaurus's arms are stronger. I think the legs are a tad bit stronger than of Acrocanthosaurus, or stronger than Tarbosaurus. But even though I think in terms of biting power, Tarbosaurus actually does much better in terms of biting power compared to Acrocanthosaurus. And so Acrocanthosaurus has got those thin knife-like teeth, whereas Tarbosaurus has got those kind of nearly conical teeth with those serrations, and so they actually crush bone a lot easier than Acrocanthosaurus can. And so I would think biting power, Tarbosaurus would beat Acrocanthosaurus, but in terms of overall strength, I think they're nearly even. And so that probably would be the case, as there's that Acrocanthosaurus has got stronger arms and possibly stronger legs than Tarbosaurus. And then your third question of the Coelurosaur that is in Sea Monsters, chased by sea monsters with Nigel Marven, of that part of the Triassic period, which one of those dinosaurs was it? Was it Coelophysis or Liliansternus? Well, if you're at 230 million years ago, so those types of dinosaurs that were shown looked more like Coelophysis, because basically what that show kind of did was actually took some of the same dinosaurs from Walking with Dinosaurs and even in Walking with Prehistoric Beasts and just put them in to this show. It's because it's made by the same company, BBC, and so they're actually a little bit more like Coelophysis. But 230 million years ago, Coelophysis did not exist, so it's pretty much because Coelophysis actually is 10 million years later. And it lived in North America most of the time. But even though if you're actually talking about which animal it would probably look like, it's more like Coelophysis. And so they just took Coelophysis and just put it in to 230 million years ago. And so that's pretty much how it is for that one. All right, that's it for now. Now next week going to be a new special episode. So if you got any dinosaurs, any prehistoric animals you want me to talk about, or otherwise if there's a prehistoric animal I've already talked about and you want me to do a redux of, since there's some new information about them, let me know. You can email me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or just go on the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris, and you can let me know on there as well. But you can still send me questions about dinosaurs and other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or just go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comments section or on any Facebook post. Remember, or even on the wall. But remember, keep your questions short to the point. You can also follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. And also take care of the people around you. And also for younger people out there, to make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education. So with a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.